joined here by Sami and Cory from Avid CNC, and I'm going to hit them with some questions. Some of them might be a little bit curly, but we'll see how they go. Sami up here is their kind of multimedia person. She creates videos for them, and she's also a whiz with Fusion 360, I think. Sami, are you?
Yes, yeah, I use Fusion 360 and a lot of Vectric products as well.
Excellent. And she's a whiz with the machine as well. And you can see she's got her own personal machine up behind her there in her really, really nice and tidy workshop. And Cory down the bottom here is the go-to man as far as customers are concerned. He's the customer service gentleman and also is extremely switched on with Avid CNC's product. Now, Avid CNC used to be called CNC Router Parts. Now, Cory, maybe because you're the customer service guy, can you tell us why you switched over to Avid as a name instead of CNC Router Parts?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dave. So our business was formed as a CNC router parts, right? So we were supplying individual parts and components. And over the years of organic growth, those components turned into systems, and then those systems turned into complete machines. And so over those years, the CNC router parts didn't encompass our entire mission anymore. And so we were selling complete systems and plasma machines. And so CNC router parts just didn't kind of encompass that mission. And so we decided to transition the name to Avid CNC to better convey what our goals are, which are complete systems.
Did you find at all, Cory, that people thought you were just a spare parts place for routers?
I mean, spare parts, yeah, we would get some inquiries about, parts for other machines. Most people who found the site, though, realized that we were kind of focused, to the DIY community and people who were fabricating their own machines.
Oh, quick question regarding DIY. Now, you have different scales of machines, like you have a standard machine and you have your Pro Series, like this one here is a Pro Series machine. Mm-hmm. Price point and kind of what really is the difference between the machines? They're both accurate, I presume, but is one built for more longevity or more accuracy? If you could let us know that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I like to talk about the differences in the machines as differences of engineering requirements. And so the requirements in the design stage were different. And so for our standard machine line, one of the requirements was to be as cost effective as possible. And so we're really trying to drive that cost down. Our Pro Series, longevity, ease of assembly, ability to expand at a later date. We had other engineering requirements that meant for what I consider a higher value machine, and not just that it costs more, but over the life of that machine, it's going to be able to produce more. And value is this combination of both cost and production capabilities. And when we really look at over the lifespan of the machine, the Pro Series, I feel like, brings a lot of value to the CNC table.
Right. Now, Sami, I'd like to bring you in there. I notice your machine there, is that a standard or is it a Pro? It looks like a standard machine to me.
Yeah, so this is from our benchtop line. This is a benchtop Pro machine. We also have a benchtop standard, which the benchtop standard is our most cost-effective solution. But the benchtop Pro is, we oftentimes recommend it if you're working in a smaller space. You cannot expand the benchtop machines to have a larger work area like you can with the Pro Series.
Right.
But this machine is really excellent. It's especially a lot of folks tend to use it for aluminum machining and that sort of thing.
Okay, so for people in Australia, that's aluminium that Sami was talking about there. So in Canada, do they say aluminium or do they say aluminum up there as well? Or do you not know?
I believe in Canada, it's also aluminum.
Okay, all right, so it's just connected to that continent.
Yeah.
All right. Now I've got a list of questions, and I will let everyone know that I did send this list of questions off to Cory and Sami, so that not to catch them out, but so that they have as good an answer for us as they could get for us. So they're all in random, but I've put some numbers down beside them. Here we go. First one: machine sizes and different levels of quality available. We just covered that, Sami, and also Cory with the Pro and the Standard Series. Now, machine sizes and what kind of are the price differences? You said that it's a more economical situation. Let's say I was to get a 4 foot by 2 foot benchtop pro or a 4 foot by 2 foot benchtop standard? Is there kind of much of a difference? And could you let me know in today's figures in US dollars how much that might be?
Yeah, so our benchtop lines don't come in a 4 foot dimension. So those would be our larger format machines, Dave. But if we were talking about the standard 4x2 and the pro 4x2,
yep,
generally speaking in US dollars, the differences are about $1,000 between standard and pro.
Right.
It's also about $1,000 to go from NEMA 23 to NEMA 34.
Okay,
And so there's
NEMA
about
34s are the stronger stepper motors.
the stronger stepper motors, that's right. And so when we look at kind of the span of two similar work areas in the larger format, standard and pro, the most cost effective would be a standard NEMA 23. And for about $2,000 more, you could go to the pro NEMA 34.
Okay. So it's
I would...
Yeah, go for it, Sami.
So I would just say that it really depends on what your goals are. If you're going to be kind of weekend warrior type, you're going to go work in the shop for a couple hours every other weekend or something, the standard machine is going to be just fine for you. But I'm a huge fan of the Pro Series machine. The machine I have at my Portland shop is a 5 by 14 foot machine. The really nice thing, I think, when you're considering what size machine to get is to understand your goals today, but then also where you're going to be in 5 years.
Right.
Oftentimes we have a lot of customers who outgrow their machines. So say you start with a benchtop machine or from another brand or something, if you start with a 4x2 or even smaller. And the nice thing is that if you're starting in your garage, so you're starting up your business and you can only have a limited budget. If you can go for the Pro 4x2 machine, you can, for just a few more $1,000, is to expand the machine into a 4x8 machine or a 4x10 machine, depending on where you start. We just encourage you to consider establishing the width at the beginning, but we can add length on later on. So it can really grow with you and your business.
It's like a Meccano set. If you get your gantry size right at the beginning, you can make it 20, 30, 40 feet long if you want to. Mm-hmm. Just all you need is longer leads and more of your 40, 80 material and legs to keep on going.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Excellent, excellent. Now, I know when you said it's only a couple of $1,000s more, it rolls off your tongue so easily.
Well,
but it is worthwhile. It really is.
Well, when we talk about the available production capabilities, Dave, and I know you understand this because you manufacture a product yourself,
yep,
right? And when we talk about manufacturing, I like to think about reliability and accuracy as two things that are key to a manufacturing business. Because if you can't reliably and accurately manufacture your product, your customers are going to let you know, right? Like if that gets into the end users, you're gonna know. And so when we talk about the lifespan of these machines, I mean, we're talking with you, and you were pretty green to CNC when you started, and we've got to watch you develop and grow your skill set and leverage that tool. And of all of the tools in your shop, and I know you have a nice clean shop with a lot of nice tools, I could say that dollar for dollar, that machine behind you is probably leveraged just as much as any other tool, if not more, in the shop.
A lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more. This machine makes it easy for me to produce a product with a little amount of time spent with it. So this is coming back to the argument with a larger machine like this, is if you have multiple runs of the one product, these things, you can't beat them. If you don't have a multiple run of one product, well then maybe you'll be better off using a standard router and a straight edge and things like that, if that's what you need. It's all about what you need in your situation. Well, I found that anyway. But you said, Cory, I was green to this stuff. I had no idea that I needed a C until you guys approached me. Now, I think I had another question there, but I've totally forgotten it. Oh, no, what I was going to say is, Sami, you said getting your gantry width right at the beginning. If I had my time again, I would have said a 5 foot gantry would have been ideal for an 8 foot by 4 foot sheet. Now, there's two reasons. One, you'll notice that my spoil board here, I've had to extend, it's more than an 8 foot by 4 foot sheet of MDF. I've extended on the side and I've extended the length of the thing. just to be able to clamp a piece of 8 foot by 4 foot ply on it using dog holes and cam clamps. The other thing is, when the dust shroud on this thing goes over dead air, it will not collect. So if it's hanging off the side, bad luck. If this was a 5 foot wide gantry, well then, or 5 foot wide machine, yes, I'd be able to have the dust hood over the spoil board and no dead air, and to have very good suction along the sides of the product that I'm working on.
Right.
Sami, you were about to say something.
Well, I mean, between the 4 foot width and the 5 foot width, different folks will make that choice for different reasons. You had some really good points there. I didn't consider that with the dust shoe. I guess I was wondering with your MDF there. Our MDF here comes in 49 inches and not 48, so it's slightly wider than a standard plywood sheet.
Well, that's the size we get it here. We can get imperial or metric. It doesn't really matter. But to have, I have a series of dog holes right the way down that side. You can see them all the way down. And I put 3 dogs down there, slide the sheet over, and I have another row of dog holes down this side. They're in a section that I've joined on, dominoed and glued, all that kind of stuff. And then I have these little cam clamps. Let me see if I have one here. These guys that lock the sheet in position. And it just works so well. All right. Now,
it's a really good point, Dave. And just to double down on that point, a 5 foot wide machine, even if you aren't going to process 5 foot wide materials, having that additional space, not just for work holding, but potentially a different work holding method for long dimensional lumber that would be different than your dog hole plywood work holding.
Yes.
To have another work holding method that is semi-permanently set up along your machine. So when you did have that, 2x4 that you wanted to process or something that wasn't using the same work holding as your sheet goods, you could have that set up semi-permanently.
Here's another question. Rotary axis. Can you run the rotary axis longitudinally?
Yes.
There you go. So for a 5 foot machine, you can have your rotary axis down one side instead of at the end, either end.
Right. It just depends kind of what you value. If you put it along the x-axis, you can embed it into the frame and preserve a greater diameter.
Yes.
Whereas if you put it along the y-axis, it tends to be, if your machine is 4x8. Yeah, you're limited by the diameter and will tend to be longer pieces.
All right. We've got to move along because we're wasting too much time here, I think. Number 2 out of 11. Okay. Does Avid supply any fully assembled plug and play machines?
No, we don't sell really any fully assembled. The Benchtop Pro that Sami has is as close to fully assembled as we get.
Yeah.
I call it technician training, Dave. When you get to assemble and understand the mechanical elements of your machine, that's your first step into, becoming a technician for that machine. And
that's a valid point.
Our support team's always available to help, but we really do like you building the machine.
Yeah, I would say that the fact that it's a kit, you're getting a lot of added value in shipping, and also, when you're learning how to assemble the machine, if you're new to CNC, this really can help you understand the complete fundamentals of how your machine is assembled. Oh, this motor goes here. It helps you string together all of those concepts you kind of understand, but now you can, whenever you have to replace a part eventually, if there's a consumable or something, you can do it. You don't have to hire someone, fly them out to fix your machine. You are completely, your own operator. You know your machine far better than anyone who just had it delivered.
When I assembled my machine, if you remember the video I did of the whole thing, right at the end, I knew how to make it travel up and down. I had no idea how to make the Z-axis work. So that was also an exploratory thing for me as well. But now I know, and it's a dream. Next question. Does Avid have or plan in the future to have an automatic cutter change system?
You want to take that one, Sami?
Yeah, the ATC, automatic tool changer. We get a lot of questions about it. The engineering team is currently working on a design and different iterations of it. We don't have a date for you today, but do know that all of our designs are designed to evolve. Our machines are designed to evolve and are backwards compatible. So it will be able to integrate with your machine whenever we're able to release it.
So the short answer is we're working on it. Don't ask us when it's going to happen.
You can keep asking. Maybe I'll have an answer for you soon. So
that'd be lovely, Sami. That's just as vague.
You'll be the first one to know. Let's call you. I'm going to call you maybe I don't know, noon my time. How does that work?
That's fine. That's fine. All right. What's the next thing? So we've gone to questions. So question 4: tech support and online resources. What do Avid CNC? Now, can you set yourselves apart from other companies at all, or is it what you offer much the same? Or fill me in. I don't really know.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that one. And Dave, I definitely think our support is one of the things that set us apart, because our business model isn't just about providing people nuts and bolts. It's about providing people the opportunity to achieve things that they want to achieve. And CNC is an art form. It's progressive learning. I still learn tricks and techniques, 10 years after I've had one of these machines in my house, and it's always a learning process. And so we really try to embrace that and allow for resources to help people along those steps, from going from very green to what I would consider a very competent machinist. And not to say that other machinery companies don't also help their customers through those steps. I just think we do that in a way that's very accessible, to people all around the world.
So your online resources, Cory, are they pretty self-explanatory, or do you have videos similar to the video that I did from other users that you can point people in the direction of?
Yeah, we try to, allow for people to have those resources through a number of different channels. And so whether it's through our plans or troubleshooting documents on the website, through videos that we've done and have available on our YouTube channel, or through direct communication with a support team member or video chat.
Do you have a Facebook page at all that people can go to and ask questions?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page, but we really prefer that people use the contact us page on our website, and
so you can give them the right answers, not a guest answer.
Exactly.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't want them asking me.
No, we're happy. We're here to help with that. The other thing I will say for online resources is we're currently developing an additional Intro to CNC, kind of CNC 101 online class and plasma class to be available supplementary to we have our build instructions, which are amazingly comprehensible to step-by-step to build your machine. But this will help get folks who are new to CNC and walk through all the concepts of zeroing and design for CNC and all of that.
Okay. All right. Next question. Any plans for modification to basic machines like Jay Bates has achieved? He's got a vertical table and plans for a rotary axis in the future. It would be great if Avid could supply the necessary extra extrusions in the initial purchase.
Yeah, so we're working on a couple different options for vertical work holding, and we're going to have those available right when you buy the machine. One of the great things about this machine design, as Sami pointed to earlier, is it's designed to evolve, and so that vertical work holding configuration is going to be reverse compatible for any of our existing machines in the field.
Excellent. Excellent. So basically, as part of that Meccano set that I was talking about at the beginning, more 40-80 extrusion that runs vertical and braced off, so it's going to be dead accurate, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And plans for spoil boards that you would supply, like Vecchio do, or don't you know at this stage?
So we have, are you talking about for vertical work holding in particular?
Yeah.
So we have a couple different options. We kind of have a Jay Bates inspired design with that extrusion modification. So we have that kind of set up for you now. In the near future, we're working on some designs and prototypes of what we would call fixture plates, which are going to be aluminum machine that you can mount vertically or horizontally. This might be really good for mounting vices and other work holding too as well.
Right. I noticed that Frank Howarth had one that was kind of like a protractor, had these clamps and a radius.
Yeah, that's another really good one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next thing. What is a variable frequency drive?
Yeah, so a variable frequency drive, or a VFD, allows for us to essentially take a single phase power input and mimic a 3-phase wave. And so it allows for us to deliver a lot more consistent power to a motor. And so if you've ever run smoother, exactly. So if you've ever run a 3-phase motor in your shop versus a single phase, it is that consistent, smooth power. So,
Excellent.
So that's what we're getting out of that.
Now, here's a question. I know the answer to this. It was one of the rare ones, but anyway. Can someone use their own trim router? And if yes, what type can or cannot be used in the machine?
Yeah, well, you can also, this is another good option for an upgrade path. So say you're working on a limited budget and you want to start with a router that you have, if you have a brand that you're loyal to. We have many options for the different types of router mounts and cover most brand options.
Excellent. Excellent. So would they be all trim routers, or would someone be able to put a 3¼ horse machine in there?
Yes, yeah.
You can?
Both.
Excellent. Well, I didn't know the answer. There you go. What's the next thing? Now, 240 volt. The filters in the variable frequency drive that can have an effect as to if the machine will start in Australia or not. Can you explain why they are fitted? Because when I got my machine, it had the filter installed, it wouldn't start. So I had to pull a little bit of a part and go in there with needle nose pliers and pull this filter out. Now, Nathan walked me through it, so it was really easy. But why are they there?
So in Australia, I would assume that a GFCI breaker was installed in your panel there. And that's probably what was preventing the power from flowing, that the filter was interfering with that GFCI. And in the States, those are not that common in 220 breakers. And so the filter is just pre-installed. And so it should be pretty easy to pull out. We have very good instructions. So we can definitely help anyone pull that out. But really, it's the GFCI breaker that requires that filter removal.
Okay. Now this is flowing over into the next question, which is power plugs for the destination country, Australia in my case, fitted or not? Because we have different wiring codes. It would be really handy if they arrived with a standard Australian plug on the end, go straight in, a little bit more plug and play, because I had a white cable and we don't have white cables. So white is your hot, I think. Well, we have brown is our hot. So I had to kind of go onto the internet, research a little bit, and put my electrician's hat on for a second and put another plug on before I could plug it into my supply. Is that something that you guys have considered for the destination country, putting an actual local plug on for them?
You know, Dave, we have, but we've shipped to over 60 different countries. And so for us to get all of the plugs right and to be able to stock that and make sure that we hit a home run every time would be pretty challenging. And so as opposed to doing that, we've done the opposite approach, which we try to make our system very cost effective, and we use the same plug no matter where it ships. And I would encourage you to contact a local electrician. What's going on inside the box and the power supplies should be very apparent to your electrician. With a little bit of multimeter work, they should be able to get the correct plug for your receptacle hooked up and powered up very quickly. And so I would say for the cost savings, for us not to have that feature, it should allow for you to then be able to leverage a local electrician and get it wired correctly.
All right. Okay, what's the next one? All right, number 9, freight quotes for international destinations by air or by sea. Is there an option? And I remember when I was doing a freight quote just to play around with the situation, I was getting a huge price, as though someone had put it in a canoe and was going to paddle across the Pacific to deliver the thing to me. So I believe that when I got mine, that your quoting system was from a local American courier, not international. And you encouraged me to contact, or for people that were interested in the machine, because they'd seen my videos, to contact you guys by email to get a full-on dedicated quote for their address.
So the website's set up now, Dave, where any international customer who has a machine kit in their cart isn't going to be presented a freight price right away. They're going to actually get a request for freight quote, which is going to ping my team.
I think that was something that was scaring a lot of people, you know, like, I don't know, it was maybe $10,000 delivery.
Sure. Yeah. And that's, so we modified the website a little bit there, and then we have a number of options for freight to your location. So whether ocean or air, and really we have a number of carriers too. And so depending on where it's going, and you know, in the past 3 months, you know, air freight has changed dramatically. And so it's kind of a day by day kind of choice in regards to timeline and cost.
That'd be a bit difficult for you guys at the moment.
Yeah, it's difficult for everyone, but at the end of the day, we're ready to step up to the plate and present those quotes and get the best rate. And you know, we're still getting phenomenal rates via ocean. And so, for example, a 4x8 like your machine size ocean freight to a major port in Australia, we're still looking at between $1,000 and $1,500 US freight cost. And so,
and that's around 300 and something kilos, isn't it?
It's not a small pallet.
Yeah. Yep. So coming on to the next question regarding GST or VAT, depending on which country you're in, import tax, sales tax, are they all covered in the quote and invoice from Avid, or is that something that the customer has to sort out themselves?
Yeah, it's typically sorted out by the customer, and that's the most cost-effective manner of doing it. Now, we do also have a shipping method called DDP, or duties and delivery paid, where we can prepay all of those taxes and fees, Dave. And so it's a little bit less cost effective to do that, but it could be really nice for someone who hasn't or doesn't plan on doing some importing, because they know they're going to send, you know, one check and or one wire transfer, and that's going to include all of their costs. And so it's going to be arrived at the door at that cost.
I think that's probably going to be the best way for most people over here, because then they haven't got to worry about being an importer or anything like that. They just give you the money and say, where's the machine? And if there's any issues, they can contact you straight away and say, look, customs are jumping up and down on the phone. What's in this box? And you'll be able to sort it all for them.
Yep, exactly.
Excellent, excellent. Coming up to the last question, warranty and how to go about it. Not that anything goes wrong with the machines. Why would I say that there anything does? But if for a situation, why, I'll just shut that off, is how does someone go about warranty? Do they contact you? Is there a period of time that there's a warranty? Is there specific parts that carry a warranty? Is there no warranty at all? I'm in the dark here. Let me know what's going on.
Yeah, so we offer a 1-year warranty against any manufacturer error or defect. And so if we made the part wrong, Dave, we're gonna warranty that for an entire year. Typically, that bubbles up pretty quickly in the assembly and use process of setup of the machine. You know, these machines were designed to be serviced by the user, and therefore, and because we started as a parts company, you can go on our website and you can see what a rack and pinion drive or an individual component from the rack and pinion drive costs. And so this is something I love about our business model, is it's designed to be non-proprietary. We really want you to be empowered to use and service this machine on a regular basis. And so there are going to be consumables on the machine, and we try to make those consumables easy to find and buy right through the website. And like I said, we have machines all over the world, and we support those machines all over the world.
I noticed, I saw Sami has just released a video on how to grease the Z-axis, which I was under the impression that was a sealed unit. You can't get to it to grease it.
Okay, so I did make some greasing videos a couple years ago. Some of those, I have been meaning to release another update, because we have a couple variations on the Z-axis now. So if you've received your Z-axis, I think it was after April. It
was about 18 months ago, I think.
9 months ago, yes.
18.
So, 18. Yeah, so we now have a self-greasing cartridge inside the Z-axis, so you don't have to go in there with your grease gun. But if it's older than that, there's a guide. All
right. Now, that's all. I'm out of questions, but I do have one specific question from one of the subscribers. Question from Derek. He's after a machine around 4 foot by 4 foot capacity that can do prototyping in up to around 6mm aluminum. He wants to know about shipping costs and times. We've already covered customs duties and GST. Recommended spindle size. How is support handled? Any things you think are important in the decision?
Yeah, well, we have a video on our channel that does, we're processing some like 25mm thick aluminum. And so when machining high density materials, Dave, the key is chip evacuation and work holding, right? And so the thickness of the material is going to be a limitation of the tooling and not necessarily the machine. But with that tooling, you know, chip evacuation and work holding with high density materials would be two things I would really focus on. Right.
Okay. Now, dust extraction when you're milling aluminium, probably not a good idea, because I know that aluminium dust is highly combustible, but is aluminium chip combustible?
Less so, and typically when people are worried about aluminum dust and dust collection, it's usually on a sanding wheel.
Yeah.
And they're also typically sanding steel, and so it's the aluminum dust and the sparks from the steel that are really the challenge. Now, rocket fuel is aluminum dust in a lot of circumstances, and so it can be very combustible in the right scenario. I would definitely respect that factor. Whenever I machine aluminum, I typically don't use dust collection, and that's because I'm using a mist coolant delivery system, and so that kind of is completely mitigating or you know, the dust collection. But I do use compressed air. I do like to add another compressed air line to help push the chips out of the channel and away from.
Right. So this can get quite messy then. So you'd need an area where it could be a wet area for you and be ready to get out.
Or create a barrier on your spoil board, right? It's all about preparation.
All right.
Robert Cohen has a really excellent spoil board setup. I think there's still some modifications he wanted to make, but he had the front half of the machine set up with aluminum extrusion, and on the back is a traditional MDF spoil board. So you can kind of have the best of both worlds. On the aluminum side, he can do sheets and then also have a vise setup. And on the back, he can have traditional clamps and that sort of thing.
Okay. So this wasn't one of the questions, and it's not a tricky one. It's just the rotary axis, the fourth axis. How are you finding the take up on those? Are people interested in them, or is it still kind of early days? And I guess you've got people that are wood turners that are probably, you know, nothing's going to be better than my lathe. Why should I work on all that new fancy stuff? Have you got any feedback for me? Because it's a rotary axis I see as appealing, but it's not appealing enough yet for me to jump in and start doing the head work to work out how to run it.
I would say that the rotary is not a replacement for a lathe. They have different strengths. Like a lathe is supposed to, a rotary is supposed to will cut with the router, so as opposed to a cutting tool. So they kind of have different techniques with the rotary.
Sammy, and they had the holes and everything in them.
Yeah. Wait, so I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Pardon?
Can you repeat that?
I saw you had the crossbows, the body for the crossbows that you took to the show, and they were just so intricately machined. I don't really think someone with a lathe could do that.
Exactly. So that's the thing, is the lathe is symmetrical in around that direction, but the rotary is designed to do kind of indexing. So you rotate the part, which you can do on a 3-axis machine if you just manually rotate your part. But the fact that you can program that in is extremely convenient. And I would say now a lot of CAD CAM programs have caught up. Like Aspire has an excellent rotary program now. And then also Fusion 360's 4th axis introduction and different tool paths, I would say, is also caught up. So it's not always been the hardware that was holding folks back from using rotary. It's, I think, a lot of software as well.
Okay. Well, we're just about out of time, guys. So got 2 minutes left. what I'd like to do is say thank you, both Sami and Cory, for joining us today and filling us in on so many questions that I think people had in the back of their mind but weren't really kind of up to asking them. So I find that if someone kind of asks the questions on my behalf and I haven't really got to put the effort in, I'll listen. So it's been great to have you on here. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to hit the turn the record button off now, and we'll probably have a quick little chat at the end of it. So if you want to say goodbye.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having us today. We really appreciate being here.
My pleasure. I'll kill the recording.
Wants to get a hold of us, it's just support@avidcnc.com. Send us an email and we'd love to talk.
Okay. Well, I had stopped the recording for a second there, Cory, but I started it up again. Hopefully that part will come through. All right. I'm going to turn the recording off now. Thank you.